Hey everybody, thanks for coming back to my channel. If this is your first video, welcome. If this is not, welcome back. For today, I'm going to show you the whole dip process of working with these new powders that I received from Rossi. So they sent me this Glam Your Nails Secret Mystery Box Kit that just has a sample of their liquids and then just a small jar of powders. So let's get into it. This would be great as a gift. It's a nice small pack. It comes with everything you need. So it has the 3 steps, the pro base, the activator, and the top coat, and then this little jar of powder here. But it's labeled Lost and Found is the color name. It's this really beautiful teal, minty teal color, which I was a little nervous getting this kit because I didn't know what to expect. And I'm not picky with my colors, but there's definitely some that I do not like. And my birthday is this month of March. Aquamarine is the color, and just look at that. That is exactly what I was hoping for. This really beautiful minty green blue color. Perfect for getting right into spring. I was a little nervous trying Rossi. I heard up and down reviews, some good, some bad. And so I thought, you know what, I might as well just try it for myself. Everybody's different. All the application, we all different hands, different nails. The way that we apply is different. So I figured I might as well try it for myself and see. Also, if you want to see me drop and spill this jar of powder, wait till the end. I included a little clip of a real life situation. I think we've all been there, or hopefully not. I hope you haven't been there. But yeah, I totally dropped this and spilled it all over the place. Oh well. So off camera, I just did a soak off process. Next up, I'm just gonna get my cuticles cleaned up and get my area ready to go. I'll be sure to record a video of that in the future. So make sure you subscribe to not miss it. So my nails are prepped. I do really basic prep. I don't find that I have a lot of issues with lifting or popping off. I'm gonna fix some of these. My thumbnails are always the ones to break for whatever reason, so I don't like chopping everything off. So I'm gonna just repair that thumbnail before we dip. And I'll link the video below. I have created a previous video on how to repair a broken nail, so I'll link that down below for you to find on your own. So I'm just gonna get set up here and ready to go, dip with my Rossi powders and liquids. I did notice that these bottles, they're the samples, so you can see, it falls over a little bit. This is not, I realized right away that would not be ideal for polish. So I just grabbed a little shot glass and put the sample bottle. I do believe they're normal. If you were to buy just their normal kit, I think you would have just normal polishes that you won't have issues with them falling over, but I did not want my liquids to spill, so I went ahead and just put that in a shot glass, which seemed to work really well. I could only find this gigantic shot glass, but it worked just fine. So I like to start with my pinky, because if anything happens that is not the biggest nail on my hand, I find that most of my mistakes or anything that maybe I don't want visible on all of my fingernails, starting with that pinky just seems to work good for me. So I do a modified apex. I don't do as many layers as others. If you're interested in an apex video, maybe that's something I will record later. But when you're dipping, just going in at that angle, I found that the base of these, the Rossi base, the pro base that they have here, takes a long time to dry, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But you can kind of see in some of my nails here, I have this little ripple or this bubble of that folding. If you dip too quickly or too fast, kind of at an angle that isn't what you're striving for, you can kind of get some of those ripples sometimes. And I was finding I got that a lot with this, but I think if I used a little bit thinner coats, and then waited just a little bit before dipping. You'll notice when I do my second round of dips, I go a lot slower. I was dusting off here and it just kept falling off. It kept falling off my nails and I was kind of freaking out. It got all over my brush. It's not ideal. So again, just talking of that slower drying time for the base. For a beginner might be good. It'll give you more time to clean up your cuticles, which is nice. You can see here I am waiting forever to do my second coat just because this was weird. I feel like I was on a roller coaster ride during this mani process. So now that I have given it enough time to dry, I'm coming at it with a second coat a lot thinner. I'm going a lot thinner here. You'll see when I dip, I'm going a lot slower to try to avoid some of that ripples. The benefit of the slower drying is those kind of patchy ripples that I'm talking about that appeared. I kind of was able to pat them down and shape the dip powder and the liquid a little bit since it was still wet. Which, for better for worse, maybe not what you would want, but again, just different than other liquids. So I'll go ahead and just let you watch the process here as I go to my step 2. You can notice, or I'm sorry, not my step 2, my second layer of my dip powder base. So I'm going a little bit slower. I typically do 3 dips. So I do a modified apex, 1 dip kind of in the middle. The second dip is almost to the cuticle line, but definitely leaving an edge. And then the third, I get right up to the cuticle edge to finish. I do normally cap in clear for all of my colors, but since this is the first time that I've used Rossi, I decided to not, just to test the longevity and see how their dip powder themselves. I didn't have a clear from them. If I did, I probably would have capped it, but for this mani, I just did 3 dips of this Lost and Found color. So I'll go ahead and just let you watch for a little bit. All right, as I'm starting my third layer of dip powder here, I'm gonna get really close to my cuticle edge, but again, you don't want to overlap. I almost always flood my pinkies, and I think that's just because my pinky nail is a little bit smaller. So I think I do that here actually, so you'll see my cleanup process, which isn't a big deal, but you definitely wanna make sure to clean it up right away. So these liquids that do take a little bit longer of a time to dry gives you a little bit more wiggle room with getting those cuticles cleaned up, so not necessarily a bad thing here. I did try to lay my finger a little bit more flat. If you're getting those ripples or those edges that you don't like, laying right flat into the dip powder can help, but this jar was a little small, so I can imagine if you had longer nails than I did, it'd be a little bit harder to achieve. I like to use this dotting tool that I have to clean up my cuticles, but a toothpick also works really, really great. I kind of go back and forth between the two. My dotting tool is slightly bigger than the really fine point of a Q-tip, or not a Q-tip. I do not recommend using a Q-tip to clean up your cuticles. A toothpick, that'll have a really nice, fine, clean edge for you to use. So don't feel like you need to go out and buy all of these specific tools. A toothpick will work just fine. I'll let you go ahead and continue watching the rest of the dip process. Finishing up the dip process here, and then I'm going to move to the activator. I feel like these are a little chunky. You can see some of the ripples here, some of the, that big ripple, what I'm talking about, that kind of built up of the base. So at this point, I was feeling a little nervous. I was feeling a little skeptical, not sure if I was digging these products just yet. But again, we're going to go start to finish and see what happens. So I waited a long time before applying my activator because I didn't want to, like my first time I dipped off or brushed off, so much of that product chipped away. So just making sure to give it enough time to completely dry before dusting off. And then again, before getting to that activator, just make sure your hands are clean of dust or powder so that you're not contaminating your activator. As it explodes on my hands. But that means the bottle is full, right? And that's what we want, maybe? I noticed that this activator seemed to have like a yellowish tint to it. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. I also felt like it picked up the pigment. You can see here a lot. That tends to happen with activators, especially if you're using color, so that isn't necessarily different than normal. But I only did a few passes there and felt like I really needed to clean my brush up pretty frequently after passing each nail. Also, I don't know if it was just the bottle, but you can see I'm kind of struggling to get that brush back in there. The bristles were not being my best friend. We made it through, we made it happen, but it was a little bit clunky of an experience. So I made sure to really lather up the activator. And a lot of issues that happen within the dip process, even when we get to the top coat, can go back to the activator. So you want to make sure that one, you are applying enough, like you're just really slathering, applying it all the way around the edges, your cuticle edge, your free edge. The activator is, like it says, what activates the dip powder. It's what makes it hard. So if you don't have enough activator, or if you've ever started to file and buff and then your dip is just like falling off, that's usually because you haven't applied enough activator. So I'm definitely going in here and slathering up these fingers with activator to be sure that I don't have any of that chipping off. If I were to have dipped this in clear, I probably wouldn't have gotten a lot of that teal color coming off on the brush. But again, I only did the 3 dips of just this straight Lost and Found powder. Now that activator is applied, I'm going to let this dry for just a minute or so. It usually doesn't take too long to dry, but you want to make sure that your nail is nice and hard before starting to before starting to file and buff, because again, you don't want that to fall off. So you can just tap on your nail, and if it sounds clickety-clackety, then you're ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and file, shape, get these ready to go, and I'll be back to do my top coat. Now that my nails are filed and buffed, nice and smooth, the shape I want, exactly what I want it to look like, we are ready for the top coat. So I did not read Rossi's directions. I'm just going to treat this activator and top coat like I do my normal dip process. So I apply activator liberally again, and then wait 2 minutes. So I've gone between waiting 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and I found that the 2 minutes is a good time to go off of. So you just want to let the activator sit on long enough to seep into that nail, but you don't want to wait too long before applying that top coat. So I do set a timer for 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes, I go in with my top coat. All right, our 2 minutes are up. So I'm going to take one of these lint-free wipes and just wipe down my nails to really make sure that they're dry, that there's no activator still on there, because I don't want to contaminate my top coat. All right, so when applying the top coat, again, I just did this as I normally would. Start by just taking one stripe down the middle of the nail and then moving to the left and to the right. So each nail typically goes like 2 or 3 passes for each nail. And then I go back to the bottle for every nail. You want to make sure that you have enough of that top coat that you're coating the entire nail. We don't want to take a lot of passes. A lot of times when you get that streaking or that not shiny top coat, it's because you've done too many strokes on top of itself. So you want to apply a first coat. You can see kind of quickly just each nail, and then go back and apply a second top coat, taking a little bit more time, and then just being more mindful of your edges and going a little bit slower for that second coat. I'm still watching my cuticle line, still paying attention to that. You don't want to flood your cuticles with the top coat. I know that happens to me every now and then, but you just want to make sure you're grabbing just enough, and you'll find what works for you. Practice makes perfect, right? I am in no way, shape, or form perfect at this. It's a learning process as we go. Each time I do a mani, I get better and better. So don't be discouraged if your first attempt does not go well. So again, just carefully applying this first layer. And then I will go right back to that pinky and do the second top coat. So you can watch me do that. I'm just finishing up the top coat on this nail here, and then I will be done. So far, so good. It looks like the top coat is staying shiny. I'm not getting any white spots or anything else that makes me not happy from the top coat. So as much as this was a roller coaster ride, I am ultimately pleased. The top coat is nice and shiny. It dried really, really well. I'm going to see how it holds up over time, make sure I don't have any cracks or chips throughout the next couple weeks here, or we'll see how long it lasts, but the next week for sure. Well, there you go, my friends. That is my full review on Rossi and their products. If you liked this and you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that little bell so you know when my new videos pop. If there's anything specific you're looking for, make sure you leave me a note in the comment, and I hope to see you again. Thanks so much.